Hello and welcome to my tutorial on how to create a tiger eye effect resin coaster. I'm starting by edging the coasters in black mica powder in about 1/4 cup of resin. The powder I've used here is by Resin for Decor and the colour is called Black Pearl. I've just added at the end of a wooden spatula scoop and also the Pinata alcohol ink, and that's in Mantilla black, 3 drops going in there. If I was doing 1/2 cup, I'd add 6 drops, but as this is only 1/4 cup, I'm just putting in 3. It gives a bit more interest and allows the resin to move differently, creates different striations when you pour it. The next colour is a mica powder by Resonate called Chestnut Brown, and I've added 1/2 cup of resin and a scoop again, wooden spatula scoop of the powder, and a little tiny bit of Interference Gold by Resonate into the Chestnut Brown. That one you can see the gold colour is by Resonate again. It's called Pure Gold. And I've also added some Amalfi lemon, a little tiny 1/2 scoop of mica powder by Resonate again. I don't work for Resonate, or I'm not affiliated with them, just happen to like their products. So again, that's 1/2 cup of resin, a scoop of pure gold, like a spatula scoop of pure gold, and 1/2 scoop of the Amalfi lemon mixed together. The 2 colours I want to dominate here are the chestnut brown and the pure gold. I've tried this before with the tiger eye and it wasn't quite yellow enough, which is why I've added the Amalfi lemon to the gold. And you can see I'm mixing now less than 1/4 cup, just adding enough resin to loosen it. That's gold flakes. I think I got those from Just For You online. And also I've mixed in mineral flakes by Resonate in natural gold. So what I'm going to do is edge the coasters first with the black. I pinch the paper cup to create a very narrow spout so I've got more control over the pour to make sure it's really fine. I've mixed a total of about 500 ml of resin. The brand of the resin I've used is Art Resin. I actually found it quite difficult to work with as it's quite syrupy, which meant that it traps bubbles very easily and they can be quite tricky to get rid of, even with a butane torch. I haven't used that many resins. I think I've tried 3 or 4 so far, and the one I found the most easy to use, which I'll probably go back to, and I don't know whether I'm pronouncing this right, it's called Art Pro Resina per Artisti. I'll put all the products that I use, I'll list them in the description at the end of the video, so please go there, and I'll try and put the links if I can find them to the products as well. Like I said, I'm not affiliated with anybody, I'm literally doing this as a hobby. I've sped up the video here just so you don't have to watch me pouring the fine edge of the black, which is quite a slow process, especially on the agate moulds because they're quite tricky to get into all the crevices. So this is just going to be around the edge, and then I'm going to puddle pour into the centre the chestnut brown mixed with the Interference Gold. What I found when I did this before, I didn't use black before when I tried to do the tiger eye, and I didn't add the Amalfi lemon to the gold, and it was just too brown. It looked more like a cappuccino colour by the time I'd finished. So the black will add it a bit more interest and hopefully create a darker brown edge, and the pure gold mixed with the lemon should make the gold more dominant than it was the last time I did this. So this is the chestnut brown with a tiny bit of Interference Gold mixed in. I'm not sure how much of a difference the Interference Gold made. I added it just because I'd bought it, it was new and I wanted to see what it did, but I think I need to see it on its own to see the full effect. So I'm just doing a puddle pour into the middle. I tend to start quite reserved and then add a bit more because I don't want to run out in the first 2 coasters and not have enough for the second 2. These moulds I got from eBay for, I think they're only about £5. They weren't very expensive, and they don't last very long. They tear if you don't use a silicone release spray. But they're cheap and cheerful, and I really like the shape of them. You can see I've got a spare one in the bottom left corner. I use that for any leftover resin. I don't like to waste it, and sometimes my leftover coasters look better than the originals, ironically. So I'm now going to just pour a whole lot in. Get rid of the whole half a cup of chestnut brown, because like I say, I want this colour to be a dominant colour. It's got a nice shimmer to it. Resonate also do a bronze brown, which I thought would work better in the tiger eye, but when I tried it before, I think it's got quite a lot of metallic particles and they tend to sink. So it didn't look quite as good, and I think the chestnut brown has its own shimmer anyway, especially with the interference gold added to it. So that seems to work perfectly. You can probably see all the bubbles forming in the resin, but you'll notice when I give them a blast with the butane torch how clear it becomes once I've got rid of a few of the bubbles. The first time I used the Art Resin, I didn't realise how bad it was for trapping the bubbles, and I ended up with quite a few potholes on the top, on the surface and around the sides. So you'll notice a bit that I go over them several times with the butane torch. So this is the pure gold mica powder in half a cup of resin with half a scoop of Amalfi lemon. Pouring straight into the middle. Should push away the sides and fill in the gaps that you can see eventually. You can manually fill in the gaps with a wooden stick, but I tend to just leave it, let it do its own thing. It can also be because your table's not completely flat, level. So I'll again use all of this. You can see the little bubbles starting to form now. It's just half a cup. Careful of drips. I've ruined a few coasters with little drips, because unfortunately if you drip a bit of gold into your brown, you can't remove it again. You can see it's starting to push out to the edges and the colours will start to merge. I actually love the way it looks at this point, especially when I go over it with the butane torch. I wish I could keep it this way sometimes. So waste not, want not, scraping every little bit out. Keep an eye on your levels as well when you're pouring into your moulds. You can end up overfilling by mistake quite easily. I tend to reserve at least half of my resin as just clear with no colour in it, so then I can control how deep the coasters are. I like to slightly overfill them so they become domed. That way you don't have to file off the sharp edges. If you don't fill them completely to the point that they're domed, you end up with these sharp edges that have to be filed, and then you can end up dulling the resin. It doesn't have the shine at the edge. So now I'm just pouring in clear resin straight into the middle to make like a central gap to put the gold into. If you've got a clear transparent centre, you can see the layers of the gold flakes. It makes them look a bit more 3D and adds a bit more interest. Also pushes the colours out and together, so they start to react with one another. I don't think you should worry too much about how much clear you use. As long as around half of what you pour in it has colour, they'll still look vibrant. As you can see, they're starting to blend nicely together now. You can see the tiger eye effect coming through. I don't know whether you can notice the syrupiness of this resin, but I found the Art Pro Resina per Artisti a little less syrupy, and it trapped the bubbles a lot less as well. Feel free to fast forward these bits if you don't want to watch the whole process. The reason it's quite slow is because I'm monitoring how full they're getting. I've got to do a scoop of the gold, so I need to leave enough room for that and enough room to add some clear on top to try and push the gold flakes down and outwards. What I find with the gold flakes is that, especially in this resin, because of the bubbles, they can get pushed to the surface and you end up with an uneven surface with the little gold flakes poking out at the top. So if you reserve a bit of space to pour some clear on top of your gold flakes, you can hopefully push them down and stop them poking up above the surface. Almost done. A little blast with the butane torch. I'll probably go over them several times, and even after the video stops, every 10-15 minutes I'll go over them again for a little while after finishing the pour. Be careful not to leave the butane torch in one spot. Keep it moving, because you can burn the resin and it ends up going misty. You'll see smoke as well if you do burn the resin, which I have done before. And you can also melt your mould. So I use my son's baby spoon here to scoop out the gold flakes. It's made of silicone, so it's easy to get the resin off. I obviously don't still feed him with it. So a little baby spoonful goes straight into the middle. I decided to use a mixture of the mineral flakes and the gold leaf because they react differently in the resin. Gold leaf tends to float and the mineral flakes tend to sink a bit more. So you can see them on both sides of the coaster this way. And they also, I think they look nicer than glitter, more natural. So knowing me, I'm a bit of a waste not want not person. I'll use every last bit, even if it's too much. So feel free not to do that. And in a short while, I shall pour the clear on top to push the gold leaf down. But the colours are blending nicely together. Lovely shimmer effect. When I was asked to do a tiger eye style coaster, I hadn't a clue where to start. You just have to try and match the colours of the natural stone to what you can find. And it was the reason I bought them from Resonate is they seem to have the largest selection of colours and variations. Just for you online I use as well, but they've not got quite as big a selection. So now you can see they're starting to spread out as I pour the clear on top. Trying to stop the drips. And then I'll keep going with the clear until I've filled the moulds all the way to the top and got that dome effect. If you'd like to follow me, I'm on Instagram. My Instagram name is @Esther_and_Elias. So Esther is spelled ESTHER and Elias is ELIAS. I'll put those in the description as well. I'm going to do more videos going forward. This is my first YouTube video, as you probably can tell. And there we have it, the finished article. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll list what I used to gild the coasters in the description. Thank you.